good morning, good afternoon, good evening for everyone today. Thank you so much for being today with us on this new session on the Process Professor. My name is Kevin Guerrero, and I am really happy to be with you today. I have prepared a really excited session for today, and I would like to thank everyone for being connected with us, for your time, for your attention, and for your interest in the Bizagi platform. So if this is the first time that maybe you are coming or you're part of one of these Process Professor sessions, let me just welcome everyone. As I was telling you today, we will be talking about one amazing topic that is actually one of the features and one of the latest functionalities that we add in our product, that is actually Bizagi Process Mining. And our objective today is to actually talk and to explain how you can actually understand your processes better. And with this additional understanding, how can you even improve those processes through the use of the Bizagi Process Mining. As I was telling you before, my name is Kevin Guerrero. I am actually the Technical Marketing Manager, and I am also known as the Process Professor. If this is the first time that you're coming to one of the Process Professor sessions, let me explain you a little bit how this program works, what is the structure and the idea that we have for this space for you, and then we will start with our session. So we launched the Process Professor program this year in February. And the idea, or our main objective, is that we can provide and we can offer to all our community, to our partners, to our customers, and to anyone that has any interest in our Bizagi platform, one space that is completely free, and that we're actually having and that we're opening this space every second Thursday of the month. The objective with the Process Professor is that you have an opportunity to actually learn about some trends that we have in the market, to actually hear what the analysts are saying in the market, how we are seeing actually that the market is moving, what are the latest features that we have added in our product, and some tips, guidelines, and even best practices that you can apply if you are working in any Bizagi project or in any digital transformation project. The structure that we have for the Process Professor is always, or we try to have always, something like this. Not necessarily we're going to have the exact times, but the idea is that we always follow the following schema or the following structure, and it's this one. We're going to have always one first section or one first part. That is where we will be talking about the topic that we have for every Process Professor session. Today is going to be actually Process Mining. Once that we finish that first part, that first section on our Process Professor, we are going to go then to see how that concept or how that important element actually can work, or we can see it live working in one of our products. And finally, we're going to have always one last part of the session that are going to be the last couple of minutes, where you are going to have the opportunity to ask any question that you want. Something really important about this last session, this Q&A, is that it doesn't have to be about the topic that we're covering in every session. It means that if for any reason you got any question related with whatever you want in your project, you can ask here. So if at some point you were actually doing a process automation and you are having a problem with a form, or you don't know how to actually fix or debug an expression, or you want to build a new connector, whatever you want, you can actually use that last space, the last couple of minutes that we have in every session, to actually resolve any query that you got over that point. So welcome, thank you so much for being here, and let's start with the session that we're going to have for today. So as I was telling you, we will be talking about everything about Bizagi Process Mining. And my objective today is that you can get the general concept and the general information that you got about this point, right? In terms of what is actually process mining, what are those main concepts that we need to keep clear in our mind, right? And then we're going to go and we're going to get deep into how Bizagi has actually added that concept, that functionality, that feature, and all the benefits that you can get from process mining within our platform. We will start defining what is the importance of process mining, what is actually process mining. Maybe this is a concept that it will be new for some of you. Maybe some of you have already some experience, but it's good to actually clarify from the beginning what is this concept about. we will get into the detail about what is going to happen with process modeling, right? Because some of you maybe already have process modeling in place in your organization. So how process modeling is going to actually be next to process mining right now that we have these two concepts, one next to the other one. So are they actually, I don't know, they are going to generate any difference? What is the advantage of one and what is the advantage of the other one? Should we use just one or should we use the two of them? So we will try to resolve all those questions in this session. And finally, we will get into the details of how exactly are we implementing and having Bizagi Process Mining in our platform. So that's what I have for you today. So let's start with this session with one first really basic definition, one concept, and I would like to start with this quote from Gartner. This is one of the most important analysts that we got in the market, and the way on how Gartner actually defines or actually identify process mining is something like as simple as this, right? Process mining is going to help enterprise architecture and technology innovation leaders to understand operations and performance in order to actually create just operational resilience. That's what they have. So let's take care and let's read carefully what we got here. So any leader from the enterprise architecture side or any innovation leader must or needs to understand how the operation and the performance is going on all the different and multiple processes that they can have during or within the organization. And the main objective is how we can create operational resilience. Because definitely we need to be prepared and we need to be ready for whatever it can comes, for any unexpected situation, for actually solve or actually be flexible in order to adapt our business for what it is coming in the market. So this is what we got. This is the main idea. This is the general concept. It means that our main objective is how can we understand better our processes? How can we get into those details, that information, that actually data or information that we got in our systems to actually understand much better the way on how we operate? That is the whole idea and the whole concept that we got here. During our Bizagi Catalyst 2021, that is the event that we had last month, during the month of October, we actually announced that Bizagi Process Mining is available for all our Bizagi Enterprise subscription customers. What happened? If maybe you are not familiarized or if maybe you don't know exactly how Bizagi Modeler works, Bizagi Modeler is the first product or the first application that we got in our one platform for every process, right? And with the Bizagi Modeler, you got the opportunity to actually create or diagram your process diagrams, right? Using the BPMN notation. You are able to create process documentation. You can even simulate your processes, and you can also create your unique point of operational truth if you publish or if you actually create your Bizagi process library. That is basically one website where every single process that you got in your organization will be stored there. But now we are adding something else, something new to our Bizagi Modeler, and it is the option to use and to add Bizagi Process Mining. Bizagi Modeler works in different plans. So it means that according to your needs, we can select which is the best plan for you. We have some individual plans. If you're working alone, if you're maybe just creating some diagram for yourself or just for your area, or we have some business or some, let's say, corporate plans that it means that is for whole or a group of a whole organization over there. So in the organization plans, we have work group and we have enterprise. The enterprise customers are the ones that will have Bizagi Process Mining available for them. That's the first thing that it is going to be important for everyone to keep in mind. And what we're doing, what we are actually completing or adding to our one platform for every process is more options, more features, and even more mature information for you to understand and to improve your processes. So now this whole cycle that we got and that everything starts from the modeling with Bizagi Modeler, then automate or build your processes with Bizagi Studio, then go to the Bizagi automation and finally do the manage, has another level another option and another feature that it is going to be how with process mining, we can understand even much better and in more detail our processes to create this first step that will be the modeling part, right? So one of the great things that we have and one of the things that we want to be always as a company and in our platform, it is we want to make things as easy as possible for you, as clear as possible. And that's why we are adding this Bizagi Process Mining following exactly the same language as the one that we have already in place for other great features that you already know. So with Bizagi Process Mining, you will be able to actually do a process discovery. That is something that we will talk in more detail in a couple of minutes. But you have already in place and with the option to do process documentation fully with the Bizagi Modeler. Also, if you want to optimize your processes, you can do this using Bizagi Simulation. And even if you decide to go one step further, that is when you want to do your process automation, you are going to have actually our Bizagi automation part. But the great thing is that in all of these 4 areas, in all these steps, in all these features, we're using always BPM Ed. So it means that it is going to be clear for everyone. It means that it is not going to have any space for misunderstanding because now everything is going to be with BPM Ed. So you can take one process diagram generated by the discovery part of process mining, then document it with Bizagi Modeler, then simulate it with Bizagi, and finally, even if you want, you can actually go directly and automate it. In all of them, using always BPMN. So it means that we're going to break those walls, those big problems of communication, because now even the person that is working with the process mining, with the data, can talk with the one that is being the automation because the language is going to be the same. Because every single shape that you got from a process discovery is going to mean exactly the same when you are doing the simulation or even when you are doing the documentation. That is the first great thing that we have now. Now, let's get into details about how this works. What is process mining? Let's start giving this general definition and how this is going to help us. So I want to start with something or one definition from one great analyst that is Stanley Kimsley, that she provides a lot of information of this concept. And she said that process mining directly captures the actual process behavior based on log files of systems that people use to perform work, turning tacit knowledge into explicit knowledge. It's great. So we're going to go into the systems. We're going to review every single system that our customers, our employees, are using, and we're going to extract data from them. And with that data, we are going to be able to understand what is happening in the real life, how my structure is, and if I am doing the things as I was expected at the beginning or not. One great analogy and one great way that I like to explain about or to explain process mining with is imagine that actually having or doing process mining is like an X-ray of your processes. So in the same way that we all know that in our bodies we have bones, right? And we have a specific number of bones, and every single bone has its place, and all of them are organized in a really specific way. We expect that our process works in the same way, with a specific number of activities in one specific order with one specific structure. However, it can happen the same way that in our bodies with our bones, that if for any reason, for any situation, maybe we have an accident and we break one of our arms, we need to go and review with X-ray if actually my bones are in that initial definition or that initial configuration that we expect, or if actually something changed. If I broke a bone, I need to find a way to fix it. The same applies for processes. So I define an initial structure, one that I have that initial structure completely defined. I will have to go and do an X-ray through process mining to see in detail if actually my processes are doing what I expect in the same order with the same initial structure, or if something actually has changed and I need to modify and adapt my process for that. So that's the general idea. Using a definition from Gartner, or a really cool explanation from Gartner, process mining in a nutshell is something like this. So it means we're going to define as an organization a process. We're going to define the steps that we must follow. We're going to define who is responsible on every single step. We're going to define every single validation that we must apply, every single consideration that we need to take into account. And then we're going to just give all this information to our employees. And they are going to go out and they are going to start working in the real world. It means they are going to go to the systems, they are going to register information in the CRM, they are going to put values in the ERP. If they have a claim system, they are going to put it over there. And this is actually what we need as the starting point for process mining. Because once that we have the real world working and going on, the next step is to go actually to all the different systems that we have and extract the logs. All the event logs that we are going to have over there is what we are going to need it there. And we are going to extract that information, what every single employee is doing in every single system. Those logs must have a specific structure. They must have some definitions, some columns that were defined not by Bizagi. It was defined by actually the process mining standard. And they define that if any platform or any system, any technology wants to use process mining, you must actually have always the following columns that they define. And then once that we have that log with that structure, with the columns that are needed, we can take that information into the process mining tools and automatically convert this into a process diagram. That's the way on how process mining is going to work. So maybe you are thinking like, okay, but what is going to be what we got from this? What are going to be our great benefits? Why we need to have something like this? So the idea is that you are able to validate if in the real life, in the real world, your employees are doing exactly what you defined at the beginning on your process definition or not. Okay? Now, I have process mining already in place in my company, or I have process modeling already working with my team. How process mining and process modeling works together, or which one do I have to do? Or do I have to do one, or do I have to do the other one? What is going to be the way? What is going to be the structure that I am going to have it here? So the idea, guys, is that we understand that process modeling and process mining are not equivalent, but also they are not even like competence. It's not that they are fighting one to the other one. No, at the end, what you are going to just get when you are working with this, these are not a competence between these. They are actually complementary. So the idea is that we can have process modeling, as my beginning, as the first step that I am going to have, where I am going to define my process, my definition, every single step that I have to follow. Once that I have my process model, I can document that process, I can even automate that process, and then as the next step that I can do constantly process mining, where my idea is to actually have a checkpoint, a validation to verify that everything that I define at the beginning in my process model is actually being followed and being in place with the process mining. So it means that what I'm going to have here is a continuous improvement cycle for my processes. I create a process diagram and then I improve, or actually I change. I make the amendments required in process mining and then start the loop again. So we are going to have these two technologies working together to have a better or main purpose, that is to improve our processes. Now, how can we use process mining in general? In general, process mining can be used for three main general aspects or points. You can find maybe even more details, but these are three main ones that you can use. The first one is process discovery. And process discovery is the one, or is the point where we are focusing right now in Bizagi. It means our main focus right now is how to do process discovery. And the idea is that we can extract all the information from the systems, get the logs, and once that we get the logs, go directly and do the process discovery. As a second point, you have the opportunity to do a process conformance. That what is this? you can then compare the process that you initially defined with the one that you actually have now in place in the real life, and start changing or start validating what is happening. It is the same? Do you have, I don't know, maybe some detours? Do you have some cracks in your process? Why you have those cracks? How can you fix it? So it's to have two diagrams and compare the two of them to actually find the improvement opportunities. And finally, we can actually have also process enhancement. The idea with the process enhancement is that if at the moment that I was doing my process conformance, when I was comparing my initial definition with what the real life looks like, then how can I improve the elements that I just identified that are not working as expected? Do we need more resources? Do we need to modify one step of the process? Do we need even to take one of those validation points? All of that is something that we can do on the process enhancement. And the idea is that you can include data, validate all of that, and see which is the better result. If you take a look, process discovery is what we have right now with Bizagi, right? It's automatically, you just got the logs, and then you can end with a diagram. Process conformance and process enhancement is something that you still can do with Bizagi. It's not fully automated, but you can do it. What I mean is that even if you got, for example, your process diagram generated by process discovery, and then you got the initial definition as a different process diagram, you can start doing the conformance by yourself, and then you can even go to use Bizagi simulation to identify the better or the improvement opportunities for your process. This is something that right now you have to do it manually. We are working as a phase 2 of process discovery to have all of these fully automated so you have the cycle actually complete. And what are the main benefits of this? So great, I am going to go to the systems, I am going to get all the information, and I am going to know much better what I am doing. Yes, but what this is going to provide or what this is going to give me as a benefit in my organization? What are going to be the things that I am going to have here? So the first things that you are going to get, or the first main benefit that you got, is business transparency. You are going to be able to understand every single detail of your processes, how your employees are working, if they are doing what they're supposed to do, or if they are doing or they are taking shortcuts or detours. And if you get that, you can understand why they are doing. Maybe it was something that it was missing at the beginning of the definition of the process. Maybe they found a better way to do it, and we need to include it in the process definition. So with this information, one of the main benefits that you will perceive really quickly from process mining is my business transparency. Everyone will understand much better how processes works. The second one, increase efficiency and reduce process costs. If we keep this continuous loop where I have a process definition and then I go to the process mining, I am going to be sure that constantly I am checking what's happening in my process, how I can improve those things. If I have a bottleneck, how can I break it? If I need more resources, where to put them? If I have better ways or better approaches of one process, how I can include it. And every time that we include those improvements, we are going to definitely decrease the process costs, right? And increase my efficiency. And definitely all of this is going to be reflected in a continuous improvement in the customer experience. Our customers will perceive that we're faster, that we're not that expensive, that we provide better service, that they can feel completely confident and happy with our services. And finally, we cannot deny that they are around the world, multiple companies, multiple markets, multiple industries, and specific processes that are highly regulated, that they don't have any option to not meet the steps that are defined at the beginning. So with process mining, I can react pretty quickly if I just found a crack in my process, and I can fix it because I cannot allow any detour when I am in highly regulated process. So this is what we got as main benefits. So let's see now exactly how we have included and how we had add Bizagi process mining or process mining in general into the Bizagi. The first thing is, again, we are focusing on process discovery. And if you want to do process discovery with Visagi, you must follow 3 simple steps. Everything must start with logs. Once that you got those logs, you can analyze and tune your diagram, and as a final step, you can import your final model. So the first step, it will be always event logs. And for that, we need to understand what is necessary on those logs, what is the structure that we have, and even which are the formats that are supported. The second one is that we are going to have a diagram that we can analyze and that we can tune in. We can define how detailed we want that diagram or not, and how we're going to execute or generate those elements for us. And finally, you are going to generate the diagram, and as I was telling you, your diagram will be always with BPMN format. So let's start with actually those event logs. The first thing is that Visagi supports 2 formats of event logs for process mining. The first one is this one called XES, that is an IEEE standard for extensible event stream. And what we're going to have here, it is basically one grammar that is based on tags. It looks quite similar to actually XML documents. And here we will need to have some specific structure for my logs to work. The second type of format that we support are actually the CSV documents that are the comma separated values file. If you want to use the process mining, you must be sure that always you have the following columns. These are not columns that Visagi define, right? This is not because we want it like that. This is a standard that applies for all process mining applications. If you want to apply or if you want to use process mining, this is what you got. And you must have always these ones in this format. So activity ID, that must be a numeric one, case ID also as a numeric, activity description as a text, and then 2 date times, activity creation date and activity solution date. If you got this structure, then you're ready to import your diagram, to import your log, generate a diagram, tune the diagram, and then generate the final BPMN. When we're talking about how to analyze and tune the diagram, I want to explain that abstraction levels and that tuning into your diagrams with one analogy, that is Google Maps. I imagine that maybe some of you or almost all of you at least one time in your life have used Google Maps, right? And the idea is that with Google Maps, you can actually go and see different places, different cities, different countries, whatever you want is available in Google Maps. And one of the great things of Google Maps is that you can decide as a user the scale that you want to use and how detailed you want your diagram, you want your map. So if you are interested maybe just to see the continents or the countries, maybe you can just zoom out, get out as far as you can and just see the continents and the countries. But maybe if you are in one specific city and you want to go and see the, restaurants or gas stations on that place, you can zoom in, get into a lot of details and not see just the city, just a neighborhood. You are able to see even all the streets, all the restaurants, all the pharmacies, all the gas stations that are in one place. So it means that you can modify the abstraction level that you want for your map. It can have a lot of details or it can have maybe fewer details. You can see detailed information even as the restaurant on the corner, or you can just see the country where that restaurant is located. Exactly in the same way is that it's going to work the abstraction levels for our process diagrams with Visagi Process Mining. So now, if we do the analogy, right, as in Google Maps, one country, one city, or one place is represented, this is something that we will represent as an activity in our Visagi Process Mining tool. And the roads that we have to have from one city to the other one, from one restaurant to the pharmacy, to the club to my house, those roads are going to be represented as sequence flows in Visagi Process Mining. And you can take out or you can add activities according to the level of abstraction that you want. If you want a lot of detail, then you can do zoom in and see all the detailed information that you want. But if you want just a general view, you can zoom out and then just see exactly what you want. So this is what we have. This is everything from the theoretical point of view. And now let's move and let's review how this is going to look like from our tool. So remember, we want to do process discovery, and in order to do process discovery, we need to have the document with the logs, we need to analyze and tune that diagram, and finally import the diagram. So what I am going to do here is that I want to show you right here how process mining looks like directly in our tool. So the first thing is that on the ribbon, we're going to have now this menu, this new menu called mining, and this is actually the section where we can go to import our logs. Once that we click there directly, I am going to have a completely new view or a completely changed view that is all focused on process mining. And the first step is definitely to just import a log. So I'm going to go to the log option. I'm going to select the one that I want to import, and one that I open. What Bizagi is going to do for me, this happened to me before. I have opened Bizagi Modeler for a long time, and my session basically expired. So let me just open and log in again. And yeah, okay. I already log in here, and there we go. So we go to the import. We're going to select the log that we want to use at this point. I select it, and once that I select it again, what we're going to do is that the log will have the structure that I show you in the presentation, and we're going to discover automatically, immediately with BPM and how this process look like. And if you see, this is exactly now what we're having. This is the diagram. These are my activities. This is everything that I have. And I have fully BPM in. So I have my start event. I have activities. I have gateways, right? I have an event, everything that I need here. Now, how the abstraction levels are going to work, right? The first thing that I want to show you is that you can see, right, your diagrams. And if you see, every single step of your diagram has some numbers over it, right? Take a look that in this example, we have 1104. We have over here like 659. We have 484. So what is that? It's the number of cases that the system identify on the log that it's taking. So it means that in this log, the log that we generate, we identify 1,104 cases, right? I can change that if I don't want to know the cases and I want to focus maybe just on the duration. If I focus on the duration, I am going to be able to see now values. Take a look. Here, I spend 5.8 days, or I spend here 1.2 weeks, or I spend 4 days. So it depends on what we want to see. We can change it. Now, what about the abstraction layer? How the zoom in or zoom out that we can do in Google will work here. So we have this menu that is my abstraction settings, and take a look that you have 3 options over here: task, sequence flows, and parallelisms. So what is the meaning of this? If I leave all of them as in the minimum value possible, it means that when I refresh my diagram, I am going to see the far view of the city, the far view of the map. It means I am seeing just a high level abstraction of the diagram that I have. It's like if I am seeing just countries and continents, not any detail. But then I can start playing with this. So what I want to see, do I want to see maybe half of the activities? So if I add half of the activities, my diagram is going to maybe modify or not. Do I want to see all of them? Do I want to see all the activities? I can change it, I can refresh, and take a look that now I am seeing even more detail. Now, what about the sequence flows? Do we want to see some of them, or do we want to see all of them? If I change these and I want to see all this, it means that now I am going to see even more connections, more paths that are being connected, and take a look that now I am start seeing actually much more elements. And the last option that we have is parallelism. So do we want to see just activities that are executed one after the other one? Or do we want also to analyze the ones that can be executed at the same time? So if I expand my parallelism option, now what I am going to have is actually even more detail, more options, more diagrams, and even more gateways. Take a look that over here, we're seeing now even one point where we can have now parallel gateway that is connecting different paths to my diagram. So this is the way on how I can tune my diagram, on how I can just go and see exactly what it is happening with my diagram. And the great thing of this is that the abstraction setting can be changed for average durations. So it means what happens if I don't want to focus just in how many of these elements are going through, and I want to just focus on the duration of my process. So I will see the diagram with a lot of detail, but now I am seeing the durations here. And if you take a look, I can start seeing what is happening. So, okay, you know what? In this point, I am expending 5.8 days. But what happened with this one? Why I am expending 1.12 weeks? Is that enough? Is that good? Is that the estimated time that is actually required? Or maybe I am having a bottleneck. So this is where we can start actually finding the points where my process can be improved. At the end, the last step, if we're sure that this is the diagram that I want, if this is exactly the point where I want to have, what I can do is just click the option of finish and close. And this is going to import automatically the diagram with the process mining, with the discovery into a full BPMN diagram. Meaning that now here, you can start adding whatever you want. You can modify your diagram. You can make changes. You can include other elements. And even if you want, you can start trying to propose what is happening here in order to make your diagram much better. So we import the logs, we tune our diagram, changing these abstraction levels, zoom in, zoom out, according to the level of detail that we want. And at the end, I am going to be able to go and import the diagram with this in BPM file. And what is the great advantage? That now that I have this BPM file, we can decide what we want to do. This can be an official diagram. This can be an official process. We can document it. We can publish in the process library. We can go to simulation and manually add the multiple scenarios that we want to analyze and that we want to see to actually realize or see if this is exactly what we were expecting or not. We can even go then to Bizagi Studio and start doing my process automation, always in every single step using our corresponding BPMN notation. Okay, so this is what I have for you today, guys. This is everything that I have for you in terms of our Bizagi process mining topic.